After a long wait for Marathon out of Bungie, we finally got gameplay footage and the announcement, and I am blown away. I am blown away that a AAA studio would see this footage and say, wow, this looks like a game that's going to save our company. Hi, my name is Ojiro. I've been making games for like 15 plus years now. The AAA space, and hell, the Western games industry in general has been in a pretty bad spot. And a lot of people have been looking at a lot of these AAA studios and seeing what they are going to do to try and salvage themselves as time goes by. Bungie is not a particularly good studio. They can do a lot of things really well, but when it comes to actually running games, they're not particularly good at it. A lot of people are very disappointed in how they have treated the Destiny franchise, and they have put off building a lot of Destiny stuff so they could go and work on Marathon. And Marathon looks like a game. I can confidently say that of the many games that I have seen, it is one of the most game-like games that I have seen in the past couple of days. And I would have talked about this a little sooner. I know I'm a little late to the show, but I was playing a visual novel over the weekend, Fruits of Grisaia, and I realized it launched on like Saturday night, and Sunday I had a tsundere route to finish, so that was my top priority. But now that I've had plenty of time to look over not only the initial announcements, but what some content creators have been able to play and their comments on it, initially just seeing the stuff out of the studio, I had a pretty negative reaction to everything. I did not like the color palette. I think the characters look very uninspired and uninteresting. I think a lot of the gameplay loop from what they had shown is just meh. And most of all, the thing that bothers me is you are these characters called runners, but all of them just walk everywhere. And if you look at the actual like little heat gauge that they do for stamina when you're actually running, it builds up pretty fast. So you can't, like, it seems like for these kind of extraction shooters, you want to be able to like save your energy. So if you get shot at, you don't lose all your stuff, right? So basically, it's going to be a game where everyone's just walking everywhere all the time until there's a little bit of combat, and then you actually move. So you're a runner, but you actually just, you never want to run, because if you're running, something's bad. It's really, it seems very boring to play. And when you look at the actual innovations to the not the franchise, but the innovations compared to its competitors, it's just, I don't know. I don't see anything particularly. Like, it seems like they don't have a way for you to carry out extra stuff. The size of your backpack and your storage seem relatively small. That's fixable with design. Like, a lot of these things can be resolved, but from seeing at the first glance, seeing what they've got going on, it's just unimpressive. And on top of that, you've got this hero shooter extraction style game. And you're going to ask people to play probably like $40. It could be like as low as $20, but they are going to charge you for it, which is going to lower the pool of people that you're going to be playing with. You've got an era where so many games are free to play for a lot of people. And that used to be anathema to the West, but now it's pretty much expected. If you're going to have some kind of competitive game like this, it should be free. I don't know how many people are going to be willing to jump into this game and say, oh, you've got like 3 or 4 maps and 6 characters. Yes, that's totally worth jumping in on. And on top of that, aside from that in general, I've seen a number of content creators compare a lot of it to Apex characters. Being like, oh, it's kind of like these characters in Apex. My immediate response to seeing all that is saying, oh, so what you're saying is, there's enough similarity here where if the team over at Apex decided they wanted to make an extraction shooter mode, they could do it pretty easily. And I like to think of the release of Fortnite. Fortnite was a disaster. It was a total flop of a game. And then they said, hey, there's this game PUBG that's really, really great. Why don't we just copy PUBG? Came out with their Battle Royale mode, and it has been an enormous success. On the side of Apex, it goes up and down over time. I'm not quite sure how people think about it right now, but if you have this formula proving to be something that people are actually interested in, you've got a team over at Apex that could pretty easily say, hey, throw together some maps, or even the maps they currently have with a mode with an extraction setup. And that's all pretty doable, pretty, relatively quickly, because they've already got all of this infrastructure and everything set up. But even if that doesn't happen, are any of you really excited about this game? Because I look at it and there's no part of me that's like, wow, I'm really excited about playing this. It's just, it hasn't sold me. Maybe it will eventually. I feel like the people that like extraction shooters are playing things like Tarkov already. That has a lot of depth to it. And with this, it seems like the depth is once you learn what the colors are, like I assume that's what all these colors are, where it's just like pretty drab, and then you got these neon colors everywhere. It's to tell you kind of what those certain areas are, which is fine for getting less experienced players to do certain things. But you need something to stand out for, like the skill cap, for people to come in and say, oh, well, to be really good at this game, you need to like learn these little things. And I don't really see it. I'm not willing to say right now it's dead on arrival, but I'm waiting for people to get excited about it, and I don't see it. I can definitely see the possibility of a lot of people getting it and playing it for maybe a few months to try it out, because there's people that'll try out any new game, right? But is this going to be able to save Bungie? I'm not sure. I don't know if this is it. They're going to need to sell so many copies of this game and get people to interact with their microtransaction system to actually keep this studio afloat. I'm just not sure that that's going to be possible. If you do a comparison to a premium price of like $40 for something like Marathon versus $40 for something like Helldivers 2, there's so much more depth in a game like Helldivers 2 than there is in something like Marathon here. It's just night and day. Now, if it were a free product where you could come in and do certain things, you could get your player count pretty quickly and then funnel them in to your in-app purchase systems so that you can sell skins or whatever. But there was somebody I was watching a video from, and they were asking, I think it was the game director, and they were like, oh, well, what do you want to see out of the store? And they didn't seem like they had a solid foundation for how they're going to monetize the game long term, which is kind of wild to me. Because usually for a lot of games, you, from the get-go, say, this is exactly how we're going to make money to get the investors to come in. Now, maybe it's decided and they just decided not to tell the people what it's going to do. But none of this inspires confidence for me. I am not somebody that is looking at this and is saying, wow, this is really exciting. When you've got people that are looking at it and being like, it reminds me of Concord, that's a huge red flag. I think there's a lot of people that are probably going to look at this and say, this looks like, any other generic shooter game that's come out. I'm not willing to spend $40 on this. And can anyone really blame them? Well, it's a game. But that's all I got for now. It's wild that this is what we're seeing out of the studio here. But thank you for your time. And I hope to see you again in a future video. Farewell.